Welcome to Link's Crafts. Today, I'm going to be making a small Pikmin diorama. I originally wanted to use a gesso board, but I decided against it. For this project, I got a bunch of fake plants, including leaves, flowers, and some small lemons. For the terrain, I'm going to use pieces of foam. I'm cutting them to help give an outline of the shape I want. But before I do that, I'm going to draw a rough sketch for how I want the diorama to look. While the end result wasn't exactly like the drawing, that's okay, as it was more of a general idea. I changed out the base for a slightly longer canvas that wasn't as tall. After cutting and gluing out some foam to the canvas, I can start to glue the skeleton for the terrain. After that, I'm going to use a small cutout of shaper sheet from Woodland Scenics. This can be used to bulk out the ground of the diorama, giving it a good shape and also helping so I don't have to waste as much sculpting mold later. Once it's been fully cut and glued in place, I can start to add the sculpting mold. I'm applying it messily before smoothing it out with my fingers. After it's all been applied, I can wait a day and let it dry. While it's drying, I can start to create our Pikmin. I'm using one of the smaller lemons to try and act as a scale. Sculpting isn't exactly my strong suit, and this is one of the parts of the diorama where I could have easily ruined it. I twisted some wire together to act as a miniature armature wire. What you're seeing is my first attempt at making a blue Pikmin. After it's been bulked out with foil, I can pose the limbs. Our Pikmin can then get covered in a thin layer of Airdry clay. In the end, it looked alright, but the Pikmin I made afterwards looked much better, so I ended up remaking this one. We can then make the easier Pikmin in my opinion, cutting out foam and texturing it to make a rock Pikmin body. It's a similar method to create the arms and legs of the rock Pikmin, though all future Pikmin's limbs were wound with 3 wires so the fingers and toes wouldn't fall out. After coating this Pikmin with clay, I can try and use one of my tools to smooth out its body. In a leaf for the Pikmin sprout, I used a wire to help it keep its bend. Looking at the eyes, you can tell it's a white Pikmin, and so I felt it would be more accurate having it lounge around than doing any work with the others. Here's it relaxing while I make the rest of the Pikmin. Starting out the same as all the others with foil wrapped around the armature wire, I'm going to be making a red Pikmin looking at the flowers. I'm using my tool to try and smooth out the clay. It's looking pretty good, but its nose is a bit fragile. But now it's time to add the flower on top. After all the Pikmin have been created, I can create some mushrooms. The day has passed, and the base is now dry. Let's start to paint. I'm priming everything black except for the Pikmin in a mix of black paint and Mod Podge. After the paint's dried, I can mix some brown shades together to make an earthier brown that I can gently paint on top. The only Pikmin to get primed black is the rock one because it's made out of foam and I wanted to protect it. After that's done, I can leave it to dry and go back to the diorama. I'll then dry brush on a darker brown. Time to paint the stone. It's getting a base coat of gray. After some different shades, I'm going to call it done. I'll then paint some glue on with a brush. Using my static grass applicator. After knocking off the excess, I can begin to add the rest. For some variation, I'll sprinkle on some flocking. I'm sprinkling on a darker shade where I think moss might accumulate. I'll then carefully add each flower. Time for the mushrooms. The stalk can be painted in off-white and the cap can be painted with a mix of khaki and brown. It can then be glued in place. Time to paint the Pikmin. We can start with the white one. Because of the color of the Airdry clay, I only needed to do one coat of white. For the eyes, I'll use one of my smaller brushes to minimize mistakes. The leaf can then get painted off camera with a different shade of green. After he's been put in place, we can paint the rest. I'll start with the blue Pikmin. You'll notice he doesn't have his flower, but that will get glued on later. Using a smaller ball stylist, I can add some black paint to the tip before adding the pupils. After adding its flower and fixing the paint, I can give it a mouth and lemon. Time for the rock Pikmin. It'll get a rough dry brush with one of my darker grays. We'll then paint its leaf and stem. The eyes can then get painted white. Using the ball stylist, I can give it pupils as well. Now it's time to paint the red Pikmin, which can get painted a nice bright red. While painting, its nose fell off, but I can fix that later. And after adding its nose back on, I tried to give it pupils, but it didn't work out too well. After making its pupils bigger, I can begin to add everything in place. Let's add some more greenery. And with those flowers, I think it's done. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. The music heard in the background was by Scott Buckley, link in the description. If you have any future craft ideas, leave a comment down below. I really enjoyed making this diorama, so if you want me to make more Pikmin themed builds, let me know. That's it for today, so I'll see you next time. Bye!